are ones where I'm asking you to sketch the graph in terms of degrees instead of radians. Okay? So you can see from the degree symbol here inside, and also when I label it, the period by or in degrees, what it's asking you to do. And so when you're looking to solve this problem here, and I'll talk through the first one and have you guys try the second one. Okay, but we're finding the amplitude. What would be the amplitude of this function? The amplitude is the absolute value of whatever multiplier is in front of the sign, so 5/2. Okay, the period, because we're dealing with degrees, instead of taking 2 pi divided by the multiplier of x, in this case we're using theta for our unknown, we're going to take what? Instead of 2 pi, we're going to use 360, divide by the multiplier in front of theta, which is 1/4, and dividing by 1/4 is equivalent to multiplying by the reciprocal. And so when you calculate this, you would simply take 4 times 360. If you took 4 times 360, you get 1440. So that's going to be your period. Okay, so notice here that there is no horizontal shift. There's no phase shift on this. So when we start our graph, we're going to use the sine tool. Okay, so we'll select this tool here. There's no vertical shift either. So we know that 5/2 is 2.5. Here's where my maximum's going to be. Here's where my minimum's going to be. So what I can do here is my midline's going to stay at 0. I'm going to plot my point where the sine function begins, which is at the midline. And because it's positive, it's going to go up. Well, if my period is 1440, I know that I'm going to cut that in half and cut each of those halves in half. So here are the points that I'm using to sketch my graph. So I'm going to go from midline to maximum, to midline, to minimum, to midline. And so when I select that sine tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this point, and it will finish the rest of it for me, and that would be my final sketch. Let's take a look here at this last example. All right, so when you're looking, the same idea, amplitude is the absolute value of multiplier in front of cosine, so 9. There is no vertical shift, so my max is going to be at 9. My minimum is going to be at -9 for this. Okay, the period is the same idea. Here it actually has the same fraction, so it's 360 divided by 1/4, which is like multiplying by 4, giving you the same thing, 1440. So if you mark that between your starting point, cut it in half and cut each of those in half, that gives you your critical points here. It's a cosine function with no negative sign, so we're going to start at our maximum, then the midline, minimum, midline, maximum. So as you sketch this, here's one period of this, and you would, again, once you complete your maximum and your minimum, it will fill in the rest for you.